Welcome to podcast 43. Yes, 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 maybe, but yes.
Our recording. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to podcast 43. You may have noticed something different about our intro song. It was sung by Pentatonics. We've been working on that collaboration for a long time now, so we're glad
That's
it
right.
finally came to fruition.
Yeah, that's right. We it's a special episode, not just because of that, but also because we are joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Noble, and he's here to talk about Vincent Gallo with us. So thank you for joining us, Ben.
Hell yeah, boys. Thanks for having me.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. You are the second guest on the show, so
It's an honorable title.
it's yeah, that's right. We have our experts. We had the Bogdanovich expert, Reagan Jones. Now we have the Vincent Gallo expert, Ben Noble.
Yeah,
So
it's nice to sort of be the Buzz Aldrin of podcast 43.
damn straight. Everybody remembers him more than Neil. So what, fellas? What have you been watching this week?
Ben, I'll let you start. Sorry.
No, man. It is your show. I've watched a handful of things. I've watched some really good stuff, and I've watched some very underwhelming stuff. The biggest thing I watched was probably Hal Ashby's Shampoo with Warren Beatty and Julie Christie and Goldie Hawn. And that's an enjoyable little film. It's the alpha male iteration upon The Graduate. And it's kind of funny that Hal Ashby made a movie about Jay Sebring, a man who was brutally murdered, and just makes a movie about how, an avatar somewhat based on him and Warren Beatty melded together was just a complete dick. But it succeeds in spite of that. The Hughes Brothers American Pimp, one of the great American documentaries. It used to be on Amazon. It's not available anymore. I bought a VHS tape, and I watch it on there. That's something I've gotten into, and it is a fantastic look at the intersection of race and class and masculine performance, because it has a great juxtaposition, because it's right during the rise of legal prostitution in Nevada, and it juxtaposes these sort of mythic but thought of as low down, dirty street pimps up against Dennis Hoff, who, when you meet him, is a much more evil person.
And so that reading of it is I think it's a much different reading from what most people would say, including peers of ours, as far as because of how just visceral it is of a film, American Pimp. Like it feels very exploitive in a way. Would you say?
Yeah, I think, well, that's the rope-a-dope of the picture, right? Is the first half is you hang out with these dudes who are essentially caricatures, and you get maybe some of the greatest quotables you've ever seen on film. Somebody responding when someone says, how you doing, saying, same old soup, just reheated, is one of the most entertaining things I've ever seen anyone say. But as it progresses, right, like those whiz-bang punchlines become very ugly moments of just men yelling at women and threatening them, to show that, okay, so we showed the blaxploitation movie clips, then we showed the myth, then we show who these people actually are, and then we show what will be, in sort of the back half, where it talks about neoliberal prostitution, for lack of a better term. And it's a great little film. It's very tight, and it's got some great needle drops. In terms of stuff that didn't really stick with me, I watched John Ford's The Quiet Man, which is just torpedoed by the muddiest Technicolor I've ever seen. Otherwise, a pretty fine little studio picture from the time. It got the Oscar for cinematography, but with they shot some of it on location. I don't know all of it, but there's so many scenes where it's just like you can tell it's on a lot somewhere, and it's like two-dimensional almost, which is quite odd.
It ruins the illusion.
Yeah, it's literally like the sky is like the clouds are at like shoulder level. It's at a complete sort of it's just the most it's quite Brechtian almost. I'm sure that maybe there's a Cahiers article proclaiming it's effectiveness in that sense. But
Oh,
whatever.
I bet. Yeah, I mean, like, I just Ford's one of my underwatched directors because I've only seen Stagecoach, but listening to Bogdanovich to talk to Fonda today and Wayne and then yeah, Jimmy Stewart about working with him. I really would love to see young Mr. Lincoln and of course, you know, John as Wells would say, you know, he's one of the people that, you know, helped make everything or helped create what we consider cinema today. So that's a good what's it called? I have not heard of that one though, actually.
Yeah, I would say The Grapes of Wrath is essential. That's a great film.
Yes.
That's on my watch list.
Yeah.
That one had James Dean in it, right?
No,
No, Henry Fonda.
it's Henry Fonda. I think you're
think
thinking of East of Eden,
East of
the
Eden,
other the other
yeah.
Steinbeck, but
Oops.
was made by someone with bad politics, Elia Kazan, unlike the unbesmirched politics of John Ford.
Elia, let's round up all the commies, Kazan.
Yeah.
So do you so you also watched Hillbilly Elegy, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Would you care to get into that a little bit?
I mean, it's quite a boring little film. It doesn't have any of sort of the ideological weight, at least textually. Subtextually, it sure does. But the source material that it comes from is a libertarian polemic as much as it is a memoir.
Mm-hmm.
It's Randian in that way, where it's didactic narratives. But the film's not that. It's just a very stock family drama, and it tries to use the poverty to make it profound, right? But at the heart, the film is about just a woman with an undiagnosed sort of mental illness or some trauma she hasn't processed that she self-medicates with, and that's not unique to only poor people. There are Mrs. Robinson types on every tax bracket. So I again, you know, it's almost counterintuitive to the right-wing source material because it's a result of material conditions, and you know, it's not personal responsibility that got them there. And it's, you know, Amy Adams gained like 30 pounds for like 10 minutes of this hour and 40-minute movie. Like, it's insane, like reading how she packed on that weight.
Wait,
and then
she's
had to
not.
Mm.
She's barely in. So she gains the weight throughout.
She
the
gains
movie?
the weight only in like the present day framing device, which does not occupy much of the movie.
Oh, that kind of sucks. All that effort put in.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm assuming she put a lot of time and effort into
Yeah,
it,
like
but for it
like
to
this
be,
isn't. It's not fucking Raging Bull, you know,
Yeah.
like where, like, you know, Fat Jake LaMotta isn't much of the runtime, but it was worth it. But here it's not.
it just sounds like another Ron Howard movie.
I
A little
just feel
underwhelming.
I just wonder, like, yeah, what space really Ron Howard occupies as a director, because
he doesn't occupy a space. He's a journeyman.
Yeah, that's fair. He's just like he'll just do he'll just do whatever. And I don't really think that he really has any auteur touches that I can think of. I mean, it's not like there are Ron Howard movies that I dislike. I mean, it's not like it's not like I don't have Ron Howard movies that I like, but it's not like I can really say that this is how I know it's a Ron Howard picture.
Yeah,
And
his films do feel quite standard.
Yeah,
Quite cut and dry.
Except for The Grinch.
Yeah.
Can't.
But yeah,
that one stands out. I forgot that he did The Grinch. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
You forget most of the movies he did.
Yeah.
You know, he directed the Da Vinci Code, which was something I didn't remember until today.
And they made 3.
I think he directed all 3 of those movies.
The Robert Langdon trilogy.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's
whatever the.
I want to know how those movies got made because I don't remember them being. I remember the first one from what I can remember as a kid. I remember that one being popular, but then the other two came out and I mean, I didn't even know about it. I didn't
No,
care, but
yeah, they just kind of came and went, but
mhm.
I guess he was up for the job, Ron
Yeah.
Howard. I mean, like, I find it interesting that it kind of almost bleeds the way that you're putting it, at least, is that Hillbilly Elegy kind of like it doesn't really carry over the politics from the book as far as it being kind of a way to kind of get these libertarian politics through a novel, and yet people still are attacking it for that. um and I just wonder if it's like I remember I was seeing Twitter drama about it with Ron Howard kind of getting involved in this, and I was just wondering uh if you think that, like, it not being political just makes it made it worse or more forgettable as a film, would you say?
No, because I think subtextually it's still there. Like it's like
Hmm.
there aren't like the book has wholesale scenes about like I worked as a bag boy at a grocery store and my drug addict neighbors who appear once in this movie and do nothing, no
Hmm.
consequence to the plot. They would buy T-bone steaks on welfare, and my family was taking meals on wheels. Like that's not there, but there are just like a few lines where Glenn Close is like too proud to go on the dole or whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's still subtextually reactionary. Um, but it is in a center right sort of way. It's
Mm.
just a bad movie. It would be a bad movie if it was like woke too.
Yeah. Yeah. No, hillbilly elegy, but woke. That would be.
It'd be
The
pretty
Um.
best
funny.
bit the best bit is when the the redneck made good is at a Yale law dinner that he's nervous at. He doesn't know how to use the silverware. Um, and someone says, "Oh, you're from Appalachia. There's a bunch of rednecks up there." And he's like, oh, we don't really use that term. Like it's a slur. Like it's offensive." And first of all, I know a lot of I know a fair amount of fucking rednecks. They like to use the term redneck to describe themselves.
Yeah.
It's not something of, shame.
It's
Um,
trying to make the term redneck like an offensive word, perhaps, to get those extra sympathy points from the redneck community. Yeah, because when I moved here, because I'm from Connecticut originally, and when I moved here, I see, I go to a Bass Pro here and see all this redneck stuff, with just redneck plastered on it. So I don't know if that's JD Vance's opinion being projected or Ron Howard's, but
that would be
Doubt it's
great
Ron
that like
Howard's. I'm just gonna go out on a limb, but I could be wrong.
that would rule if like JD Vance like sees Jeff Foxworthy as like a self-hating, type,
that's
sort of like the Uncle Tom of the redneck community.
yeah, Jeff Foxworthy is damaging for the redneck community.
I did.
uh,
I know it's off topic, but he has his own Monopoly game. But it's
like,
like
as in, like, Jeff
it's
Foxworthy Monopoly or
yeah,
Redneck Monopoly?
it's like Jeff Foxworthy edition of Monopoly.
Awesome.
Yeah, sorry, I know it was off topic, but
It had to be said.
it had to be brought up.
All right,
Yeah.
well, I think that's all for my vibes after a 20-minute
There you go.
digression. Yeah.
Well, Fulton, you have anything to say? I feel like both me and your vibe will be the same since we did watch a
Yeah.
movie together a couple days
Yeah,
ago.
I haven't had any time to get anything else in. I wanted to, but the only thing I was able to get in between this recording and our last one was Alien 3, the assembly
Yes.
cut, the 2003, I think,
Yeah,
2003 assembly cut.
2003. Yeah.
Um,
Um,
do you wanna start? I know you have a big heart for this movie.
well, I mean, I guess I guess I have a big heart for it because I just enjoy Alien, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that this movie kind of gets an unfair it's just I just feel like it kind of is unfairly treated.
Mm-hmm.
And the assembly cut is kind of the thing that where they took they added about 30 minutes of extra footage to the movie from the original cut, which David Fincher directed it.
Mm-hmm. I think it was his
Uh,
first.
y-
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no. Was it?
yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I want to say it was probably his first film,
Yeah.
and so he was given about he like they kind of the studio kind of controlled it because he didn't have a lot of pull because he wasn't really a known director at the time, and so they kind of screwed him over, and so they but he refuses to work on the picture, do a director's cut or anything, but they used his notes and stuff and they just kind of recreated it with this footage. And I think for the most part it comes off successfully. It kind of explains a lot more. The ending isn't as stupid because the
Mm-hmm.
ending in the theatrical version of Alien 3 is super ridiculous um where Ripley jumps into the like lava with the xenomorph bursting out of her chest as she falls and dies, and it's just kind of a bit hokey, but it just changes
It's a
it to
little
her
over
just
the
jumping
top.
off. Yeah,
Yeah.
so but like I don't know, Fulton. I feel like you pointed this out as well as me, but
Mm-hmm.
like the CGI
It has
alien
not
and
aged
like
well at all.
yeah, and on top of that, it did remind me of the some of the footage that they had to use that didn't have the best audio quality.
No, it did
Um,
not.
and so it kind of reminded me of the theater or the roadshow cut of It's a Mad, Mad, Mad World
Mm-hmm.
that Criterion put together on the Blu-ray release, where it was just kind of like I mean, it wasn't as bad as that, but there were some parts where like the quality would kind of dip because they didn't have the best footage available like
Mm-hmm.
that, or like the audio would be just very poorly blended into the scene. And but I think overall it was a pretty decent movie. I just think it's a good atmospheric picture, and I like the setting of like a religious penal colony. So
Yeah, I think for the most part I agree with you. I don't really think it's as bad as people say, but I have never seen the theatrical cut. This is the first time for me watching this movie. I mean, I'm kind of I enjoy David Fincher's films a good bit, so it's kind of interesting to see his beginning. Um, but off the top of my head, I can't think of too many things that you know how typically in a directorial debut you kind of see the seeds being planted for like what they'll kind of grow on later. No pun intended
yeah,
with that, but you know, I couldn't really capture too many things that I see later in his work. And I agree the CGI is jarring. Just for people that don't know, whenever the CGI xenomorph comes up, he's like green. And I don't know if that was because they worked on it for the assembly cut or what happened there.
because
Um,
the regular xenomorph in the movie is like crimson red,
yeah,
and
it
yeah,
looks cool. I do like the design for it. I just wish but whatever. And then the ending, I do think it's a little weird how it seems to move slower than the humans, but that's more of like a nitpicky thing, so I don't really care about that. But um, yeah, overall, I thought it was decent. I think I want to watch it again when I'm not with a group of friends because I didn't really feel like I was able to give um, the attention towards it that I'd like to give it. Because we were talking a good bit, but I mean, that's just the fun of watching a movie with friends and stuff like that. But I'm excited to watch Alien Resurrection because I've
the
heard it's very stupid.
I just don't know how they saw because I think Delicatessen or Jean Pierre Jeunet directed Resurrection, and
Hmm.
I know that I don't know if Delicatessen came out before or after, but I want to say after. And like I
Hmm.
just think it's really crazy that yeah, they saw that movie and they were like, "Hey, he should direct an alien movie." And then I didn't know
Well,
he
I
just
mean, Hollywood has a history of picking up little indie directors and then plopping them in a huge blockbuster franchise. Um,
even worse so now, yeah.
yeah, I'd say it works till yeah, I agree. It doesn't work as well, but I mean, they seemed to wanted to take a chance, and I want to say I don't remember who did the Leatherface movie, but they picked a French direct or a French duo, I think. So it wouldn't be the last time that
that they
those
pick
big,
French people.
yeah, for one of those big franchises. But I digress.
French
But
franchises.
yeah. Oh, nice. We're
What about you?
mhm.
You have any thoughts on Alien 3? Then you ever seen Alien 3?
No, I caught half of it on G4 as an adolescent, and I
Mm,
never had. I
Okay.
turned it off and never returned.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're a pretty anti sci-fi guy for the most part. So uh, okay.
it's
I
no.
think
I'll
that's
say this. It's no AVP.
yeah.
Yeah.
Not as AVP's a tight an hour 30.
Yeah. It's a good. It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's about all we have for
Hmm.
vibes. So I guess we can move on to the news that has happened between Friday and Sunday, which I'm guessing is little to nothing,
It's
except for maybe that article that I sent you.
So I was
Um,
gonna let you cover that if that's okay.
okay.
And
Yeah.
I'll just rattle off these two things that I have really quick. The actor, not the actor who voiced Darth Vader, but the actor that actually played Darth Vader, David
He
Prowse,
died.
he passed
Mm-hmm.
away. So R.I.P. to him. Hope his family
R.I.P.
is okay. And then Joss Whedon was working on a show for HBO where he was writing, directing, and I believe the showrunner and probably producing, I would assume, called The Nevers. He has left that now. So yeah, that's all I really have. I don't have too much. We covered a
David
good bit.
Lynch, I guess. David Lynch, I guess, is working on something with Netflix.
Oh, for real? Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I knew he said that he was going to be returning to things when the virus kind of calmed down. Because his YouTube channel, he spent a lot of time and effort into that, and I think he's getting back into making movies again, which is amazing.
No, well, Twin Peaks: The Return, is a movie, so he
Yeah.
hasn't given us.
Well, it's like what 17 or 18
Yeah,
good
18
good movies,
hours.
I'd say. Yeah, it's insane. But I
Um,
mean I really appreciated that, but I would like to see him do like another film again, just so I can see it
uh,
in theaters. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But
we can hope that AMC will stay afloat. In
oh yeah,
this in these times.
yeah.
Uh, what I wanted to talk about was apparent. So this the cinematographer Maddie Libatique, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Hmm.
Um, he was a cinematographer that worked on A Star Is Born, Straight Outta Compton, Black Swan, Iron Man. He was just arrested in northern Poland for an assault, because he was accused of assaulting like a paramedic, and he just like collapsed in like a hotel room, and he's just in jail facing prison charges, and it's just kind of a wild story.
Hmm.
We can link the story, but like he's been stuck there since like 2018. The New York Times wrote like a really long write up about it, and just about how he doesn't really remember what happened. It's like kind of the prison system hasn't been like treating him the best,
Mm.
and it's just a crazy story. But we hope that everything so works
Hmm.
out, because it doesn't sound good, and it sounds like he could. Yeah.
Well,
uh
I'll link it in the description for those who are interested in that story. But I think if we can take a quick ad break really quick, and then we will talk about three feature films. Did we already name them last week? Did we already
uh
say which ones?
yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna talk about, or yeah, or we didn't bring up Trouble Every Day, I think.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're gonna talk about Buffalo 66 and The Brown Bunny, two pictures directed and starring Vincent Gallo, and we're going to talk about the Claire Denis film Trouble Every Day, which is starring Vincent Gallo.
Hmm. All right, and we will be right back. Okay. And now we are
All
back
right,
from that ad break. Which movie did y'all want to start off with first?
I'll let the Gallo expert
lead the conversation?
Yeah.
Well, I think the one to start with is Buffalo '66, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because that's where it all
I think it's a
starts.
safe bet.
It's Vincent Gallo's debut picture. Before this, Gallo was just a general man about town, Renaissance man, one could say. Was in a band and friends with Basquiat. Was popping on the modern art scene for a minute. Had some very nice pieces get sold, and
Mhm.
then he became a filmmaker. Um, and it was originally supposed to be directed by Monty Hellman. Vincent Gallo wrote it with a woman who I can't remember her name right now, but of course he did the thing afterward where it's like, oh, she never wrote a fucking word. This is sort of his
Mhm.
Citizen Kane in a way. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, so it's a one could almost say a rom-com about an ex-con that gets out of prison and kidnaps a woman to bring home to his parents and goes through a general journey of self-fulfillment. What do y'all have thoughts on this picture?
Uh,
What's your
well, so I didn't really know much about the film actually until I met you, Ben. If I knew about the Brown Bunny before, which is funny, but because I was a big reader of Roger Ebert back in the day, which we'll probably get into. But so this is my third time watching the film, and I just think that every single time I watch it, I just like it more and more. I think it's quite a lovely exploration of kind of like male a man trying to find himself in a world that kind of has dealt him a pretty bad hand in general, and just trying to find fulfillment in love and through just a relationship with a woman, and kind of what that brings to, like, I think that ending is just such a beautiful ending, and I think it kind of, with the needle drop of sweetness by Yes, and the way that he just kind of is acting towards everybody, kind of in the only way that he can act, just like being as kind of over the top as possible, just kind of like shouting his emotions. And I just think it's really beautiful picture, and I think it's one of the best rom-coms of the 90s.
Yeah, so Chris, I mean I'm kind of in the same camp as Chris. Um I had no idea who Vincent Gallo was or anything about this movie, but I'd heard about it on, like, I'm sure I watched a couple of, like, um movie lists on YouTube, and it had come up like once or twice, but I never really like seeked it out until Chris, like, he texted me one day and was like, "Hey, you have to check out this movie. It's on Amazon Prime." And then so I sat down and watched it, and I really liked it. I love Vincent Gallo's character in it, Billy Brown, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, I love him. I love his chemistry with Christina Ricci. I love the whole kitchen scene, and I kind of wanted to, or not the kitchen scene, the table scene. And I kind of wanted to ask you guys, Ben, you might know more about how it was shot, but did he, I forget what the term is called, but it's when you take several different cuts and you kind of cut around the character and you put them all together in the frame so you can kind of use whichever shot you want and it still kind of flows together. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
no,
a
I
multi.
understand what you're saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So, because I noticed that some of the lighting, like the lighting on the parents, is different from Billy
Hmm.
and oh shoot, what's Christina Ricci's character?
Layla.
Layla.
Layla. Yeah.
Mm, mm.
So I noticed the lighting is different on them, and I just kind of wanted to see if you knew anything about that, Ben, or if that was like
Not
in.
not in particular,
Okay.
Fulton. But I mean, Gallo has one on record that sequence is a loving homage to Ozu.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Oh,
quite a student of Ozu. The
I
front
didn't know
license
that.
plate of Layla's car reads Ozu. Um, and that's the thing that's interesting about Gallo, right? Is that he has a filmmaking style that's clearly steeped in cinephilia, but it's not generally consensus picks. I mean, one of the man's favorite movies is The Rain People. He's quite an odd bird.
Mm-hmm. Definitely likes to go against the grain.
Yeah, it comes off in his films, especially in the beginning. I love that little. I love the beginning of Buffalo 66. I don't know if you'd call it a montage, but there's that kind of. I think he's sitting on the bench, and then you see his like daily routine and small
The
little
collage,
collage. That's a better word for it. Yeah, I love that, and it kind of immediately kind of sets it apart, and it puts you on a very different journey. I feel like I hadn't really seen anything quite like it.
Yeah, and it does sort of the same thing throughout the film with those explosions of tableau vivants, sort of these moving frames that just explode. It's quite a inventive and playful film. It has a great sense of humor about itself. Really, more than anything, it's a musical. And people forget, that Gallo picked all the music, and anything that wasn't a needle drop, he scored himself. It's all very intentional. I mean, there are a few things more euphoric than that Moonchild sequence in the bowling alley.
Oh yeah,
that one is cool. Yeah,
or the part where he walks into the strip club.
Yeah,
to the heart of the sunrise, and it's just like the way that kind of all the dancers like move to the rhythm of the music, and I think it's diegetic sound. So but just kind of the way that he kind of frames it all, it looks almost like a musical almost. And I think that
I've never
a lot of
thought
people
about
don't
it in that
bring
way.
Yeah,
That's really cool. Yeah, I love the scene with Layla and the father. That's a Sinatra song, right?
No, it's a recording of Gallo's own father singing a jazz standard that Sinatra also sang.
Oh, okay.
And that's what's interesting, right? Is that Gallo will always say, "My films are not autobiographical. You don't know me, etc. I am not Billy Brown." But the man did grow up in a household with a fanatic Buffalo Bills fan mother. She famously went to the New York premiere of the film wearing Buffalo Bills gear without being instructed. And his father was a gambler and a degenerate. He didn't work for most of his life. And he abused Gallo. And that's what the film is, right? Is that it's a tale of survivorship. Because the whole film is about Billy learning how to control his body. It's a film of a man going through a series of situations in which he freaks out, doesn't want to be touched, and then cries in a bathroom.
Yeah.
Like, it is a very bodies and spaces sort of picture, despite the fact that it is a rom-com musical gangster movie. It's an insane, it is sort of like the killing of a Chinese bookie in that way.
Well, another, a Gazzara.
Yeah. And Gallo will contend he hates John Cassavetes. He said he cast Ben Gazzara because he watched a TV anti-drug movie, like some B-rate thing called The Death of Richie, where Ben Gazzara played the dad to the degenerate son.
Interesting.
With the I'm not trying to jump ahead, but I just think it's interesting with the thing that you said about the bodies. I'd say that definitely carries over into the Brown Bunny as well.
It 100% does. And that's why, the moment where the romance takes off in Buffalo 66 is when Billy is sitting in the tub and he allows Christina Ricci to come in. And
because I mean, I just think that there's especially a lot to be said just about the photo booth scene, and just kind of like what it speaks about, Billy Brown as a character, and like the kind of like just the amount of pain that he feels, not wanting to feel the embrace of a woman who loves him or feels any way towards him, and how he just wants to just stare blankly as if like it's kind of like, this is my accepted fate. But yeah,
I think that was I hadn't thought about it like that. I normally get caught off by just how funny the movie is, especially that scene in particular. I do really like that scene, and he just looks like he's on the verge of breaking down in tears right in front of Layla.
We're entering our blue period.
Yeah, the blue period and the orange period. I want to think it starts out with, but yeah, man, he does have an incredible sense of humor, and which I think the Brown Bunny is a little bit more. I didn't find it as funny. I found it more dramatic, I think would be one way to put it. Um, but did y'all want to did y'all have any other thoughts on Buffalo 66?
Not that
Well,
I can think of. I mean, Chris.
Okay.
I can't think of much. I just, I just want to, let's move on to the Brown Bunny, the sadder of the Gallo pictures.
Assuredly. Yeah. Well, just for listeners who may not know, the Brown Bunny, again, stars Vincent Gallo, and he writes, directs, and I know he edits and does the cinematography, but did he produce it? I would assume that he did, right?
He didn't produce it
Okay.
He didn't produce it like on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Famously,
Steve Bannon, right?
yeah, Steve Bannon produced it.
Oh wow.
He had some stake in the company.
Well,
But yeah, it's a very interesting film because it's all of his favorite stuff laid bare.
Mm-hmm.
It's the whole project in bold text, and I often frame it as a inversion of Buffalo 66, where it's a lot of the same moments and beats and iconography, but it just subverts the expectation. It subverts convention.
That's a good way to put it. It definitely does feel like a very, very different film. Even from as out there as Buffalo 66 might feel on a first viewing, I don't think I was necessarily prepared for the Brown Bunny.
No,
Yeah.
it's a very different movie. And in a lot of ways, it's almost a spiritual successor to Monty Hellman's Two Lane Blacktop, which is one of Gallo's favorite films. I mean, the end of the Brown Bunny, and not the part you're thinking of, is a direct rip from Two Lane Blacktop because Gallo couldn't get the ending he wanted, and he just had to make something up.
Just out of pure curiosity, what was the ending that Gallo wanted?
Bud was gonna leave the hotel room and go to his race, and he was gonna ride his motorcycle into the wall and kill himself.
Okay, I did have a feeling that after the confrontation, or not really confrontation, but the conversation with what's her name? Daisy? After the conversation with Daisy, I did feel like I had a feeling that he was gonna kill himself, but then he just kind of he continues to drive, right? He just drives away.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he was just driving, and the camera cuts.
Yeah.
And I mean, it does still show it. That ending does still show some progression, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because throughout the film, when he's framed driving, he's framed from behind. It's always the road in front of him that matters, and not where he's at. And you only really see him from profile when he's talking to a woman through the window. But at the end of the film, it's him in profile, and it's now about him. It's not about the journey. It's not about running away. It's about where he is right now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you really make of the conversation that he had with Daisy's parents? And like, I was always kind of, I would say that I didn't fully get what Gallo was trying to get at in the grand scheme of things, as far as like the significance of that, because like, they don't really say anything mentioning anything that happened to Daisy.
Well, it's an inversion of the dinner scene from Buffalo 66, right? Instead of a homecoming, it's about coming home and realizing you have no home to go to. And it's about the idea that people don't remember you. It sets up his general insecurity, right? It sets up the fact that Bud is crippled by masculine pathology. He is very insecure that his house wasn't nice, and he's very sort of passive. and he's trying to put together this sort of stoic deal.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think it serves some thematic purpose. And then there's also the bunny thing, but I think that's
Yeah, there's the bunny. Yeah.
a given.
Or just kind of when he goes to pick up or he meets that girl Violet, I think her name is, and he's
Mhm.
and he's like, let's, she's like, oh, let's, or they're gonna go away originally, and then he just leaves her. I think is a pretty good look at like kind of the just how the emotional, like how he's feeling at that moment of just like complete emptiness from Daisy
Yeah.
not being able to move. And I think that he captures that really well as far as like what that feeling feels like after you lose somebody that you love, whether it's I've luckily never had to deal with losing somebody dying or anything, but breakup or something. And
I mean,
so
not yet.
yeah, well, fingers crossed, knock on wood. But I mean, yeah, I think Gallo's really good at tapping into that through not really through just a lot of showing and not a lot of action, because it's very not a whole lot of dialogue in the movie, because it's a
Yeah.
lot of driving and not even monologuing. So yeah, I guess I wanted to talk about, just kind of like maybe the Roger Ebert situation with this film, and how Roger Ebert's original criticism of the movie was he saw it at Cannes and he hated it because he thought that it was just, so boring, so pointless. And it was the Cannes cut, which I think is the Cannes cut, which was about 25 minutes longer, and then Gallo cut it, and then Ebert ended up liking the picture. Have you ever seen the Cannes cut of the film, the 25
It's never been
minutes?
shown, and Vincent Gallo contends that the con cut was actually only like 5 minutes longer.
I see. And I mean,
It's a he said, she said type situation, maybe.
I think he's bullshitting. I mean, like the way Gallo talks about it, he's like, I didn't even have a rough cut, I wrote down a number because that's what they needed to submit it. And they were willing to accept it sight unseen, I suppose.
I mean, maybe they gave him some leeway just with the way that Buffalo performed. But I don't really know of the critical reception after Buffalo was released.
Buffalo was mildly well received. It wasn't like heralded. There were I don't even know if it got like Independent Spirit Awards. But I mean, like, it sold DVDs. It benefited from rental.
It just got it just fine. It just got that Blu-ray release like a year ago or so,
Yeah.
so it took a while. But I think Gala's getting kind of a reappraisal. I mean, maybe some boutique people will pick it up. We'll pick up the Brown Bunny, drop that on release. But even the DVD is hard to come by. I'd actually like to ask you. So for background, Ben has a copy of the Brown Bunny on DVD, and he would give it to people for them to watch it. And I was wondering, Ben, when did you get your Brown Bunny DVD? And did you know about the movie before, or did you just was it kind of like a blind buy type thing?
I was quite familiar with it beforehand, unfortunately, from being an adolescent.
That's right.
And I got my DVD in September of 2019.
Okay.
Maybe late August.
Okay. Too long. Yeah. Well, speaking of that, that scene that we're talking about with Chloe Sevigny and Vincent Gallo at the end of the movie, in which she
performs fellatio.
Performs fellatio on Vincent Gallo.
I would say he performs too. I think that would be unfair to not.
It's a 50-50.
What's your read of that? Do you think that it's a little too excessive, or even pornographic, or do you think it serves an important purpose in this film?
Well, pornography is sexual imagery without artistic purpose. So I think by definition, it's not pornography. I think that's quite dismissive. And I think, two, Gallo's spoken at length about this. I highly recommend the audio commentary. It's on YouTube. You can listen to it. And he talks about how he wanted to use the imagery of pornography, unsimulated sex, because pornography is a place where sexual desire is the masculine ideal of like dominance, and it's a place free of guilt or hangups, and it is all joy. It is all complete indulgence. And he wanted to take that space and make it about guilt and regret and negative emotion, because that's what it is. It is over the course of it, she sort of goes more and more lifeless, and he accepts that she's dead.
That's true.
Essentially.
Mm-hmm.
There goes a point where she's essentially went limp, and that's why I say he performs. Like, he does sort of take the lead at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's a very depressing, very unsexual type.
If that happened to your buddy, he would not tell anyone about that. Like, that's,
Yeah, it's just a hard. I mean, it's just a hard scene to watch, and I think it's even weirder that that I don't think that Sevigny really, she didn't really know, she didn't really know Gallo too well. Like, they haven't really spoken since, right? And it's just kind of like he just wanted her to be in the movie, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was also a dick to her, so
Yeah.
I don't blame the woman.
Yeah, I think he was a dick to Ricci as well.
That wouldn't really surprise me.
She's defended the film, and like, she hasn't like actively said anything bad about him. Like, a year or two ago, she posted on her Instagram story that she got a text from Vincent Gallo, and then like sort of like a slightly disgusted emoji,
This is Chloe Sevigny, right?
Yeah, okay. On her, yeah. Chloe Sevigny's got quite a terrible Instagram.
Does it compare to Vincent's?
Well, at least Vincent's is supplementary to the artistic project. If Vincent Gallo just wore shirts that said like "Gay for Joe Biden 2020" or opening ceremony jackets, I would say that he would be cornier as a result.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
Chris showed me Vincent's Instagram, and I wasn't really prepared for it. I don't think
it can be a bit of a deal breaker for some people, and
I thought it was pretty funny.
Oh man, but after this film, after the Brown Bunny and the subsequent controversy with Roger Ebert and all that, he kind of went on to live a life of more or he stopped making films, at least for people, and or for the public, I should say, because he actually does have a film that he's made, and a few people have seen it, but he refuses to release it. So
has he ever said why?
I don't exactly know why.
It's just that Promises Written in Water got not particularly well received at TIFF, and his friend Sage Stallone died. And essentially what happened is he made the Brown Bunny, and while he was out making that, Johnny Ramone died, and he wasn't able to be with his friend as he died. And then he went to go make Promises Written in Water, and then Sage Stallone died, and then he wasn't able to be with another. And he didn't need the money. He was independently wealthy, and why do it anymore?
Yeah, I guess he lost his. I mean, because he's very. I mean, you could say that he's kind of a Renaissance man in many ways. He likes to do a lot of different things, and maybe he just found something else to fill his time with. So I don't know. I don't know about his music, but his website, similarly like his Instagram, is quite a sight to behold. You can buy him. You can buy his sperm, and you can also have sex with Vincent Gallo for I think like for $1 million. I don't know if anybody's paid him that much, but he he's quite. I mean, maybe we'll get something from him in the future.
There's still time, but it's all up to him. I mean, David Lynch, I think is another. He's kind of got his hand in like a bunch of different artistic expressions. And so, I mean, he did painting for a while and did sculptures and then music and then he's in film and then like we said earlier, he's getting back into film. So, there's always time if he decides to. I think it would be an interesting I think he'd definitely make an interesting return going based off, his two movies that he has. But he hasn't even made any short films or anything like that.
No, I don't think he's directed any.
Okay.
He was in a Denis. He's in a short film that Denis did called what was it U.S. Go
Home. Yeah, he did a movie with Coppola after the Brown Bunny.
Tetro.
Yeah, he did Tetro and he did Essential Killing. He was on a television show that Courtney Cox did as well because he had made a movie with her as well.
Mhm.
He's done a fair amount of stuff like post
Brown Bunny.
directorial retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so I guess Trouble Every Day is a movie that I didn't have a chance to watch. So full disclosure, this will just be both of y'all talking about it. But
I'll do my best.
Yeah. So Fulton, I'll let you kind of introduce it.
Well, Trouble Every Day stars Vincent Gallo, and I don't really remember any of the other actors or actresses' names, but it directed by Claire Denis. And it's about a newlywed couple as they head to Europe, I think, or the UK. I wasn't exactly.
Europe. They're going to Europe.
Okay, so they go to Europe, and then their kind of relationship ensues, and I think it would be safe to say that Gallo's character has, a few motives that get explored throughout the film. So what did you think of this film, Ben?
I think it's a fine little film.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Gallo reappraisal and sort of the scarcity of material has made it so like his fans will reappraise anything he's ever touched, pretty much. And I think this is a minor Claire Denis film, and I think that in his role here, he does a nice little supplement to his artistic project where it's still about like a man who, is sexually neurotic and he isn't sure how to, perform gender roles, and it's about sort of it's sex negative. But it also like doesn't really work as a film for me. I think it's slight and it makes its point, and the point it makes is not compelling.
Yeah, the only other Claire Denis film I've seen is High Life, and which I thought that one was all right. I haven't really seen a Claire Denis film that I like love yet. So at the ending of this one, I kind of had the feeling that I was like, maybe her films might not be for me. But I always try to keep my mind open about films and stuff. So I'll probably check out some of her other movies. But with this one, I agree with you. It's kind of all right. I'd say it's a dirty film and it's uncomfortable. But especially I'm thinking of the scene near the end. But I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a sex scene near the end of the movie that's pretty unsettling, and I'd say it's dirty too. I felt like the film could have explored itself more. I feel like there was a good bit of stuff within the plot too that kind of comes up and then gets dropped, but I might not just have like a great reading on the film. But I did you say that it didn't really make an impression on you, or am I?
No, I mean I still enjoyed it, but I mean like Claire Denis' whole thing is like colonialism and what are the aftershocks of that, and how does it affect our social norms? And this one kind of reminds me of Suspiria in a way, because the Guadagnino one,
Mm-hmm.
in that it takes genre film tropes and it's like, all right, now what if white women did them? And this is sort of Claire Denis' white woman extinction button picture. But I don't think it earns that particularly. I don't think it does anything with it. It's just kind of a lazy like, and the white ladies get away with it. Because she only attacks, poor essential workers, people of color. Her husband's completely cucked. He is you know, he just bears it, and
Yeah.
everything in the film is this very long phallic, like the when she has like the saw under the bed
Mm-hmm.
and all the laboratory, the test tubes and the beakers.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite fixated on that.
Mm-hmm.
um and it doesn't do anything with it.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I guess for me to say, because I was gonna say it didn't really make an impression on me, but I think it does in the terms of the imagery that it provides. But I don't know. I just thought it could have. I think there's potential there. I just didn't really think that it explored it in any like meaningful way. So by the end of it, I was like,
How
it's
was the Gallo performance though?
It's pretty good. He doesn't do much.
yeah. I, I yeah, I'd say the same thing. Like I don't think he detracts from it, but I don't really think there's too much going on with his character. And yeah, but I mean, I think there's like a conversation that I'm thinking of in my head, um, between Gallo and another researcher, and she's kind of explaining Gallo's backstory and everything. I think there's an interesting thing going on there with this character. I think that could have probably been explored more about. But then I say that, and I know that's not at the heart of the film. That's not what I don't think it would contribute to the film's message of. Um, it doesn't really pertain to sex. It just pertains to kind of how. Or I mean, I guess it could because it gives into his drive to. I don't know. I'm trying to formulate my idea about it, but I'm kind of fumbling over it. But there's.
Yeah.
Do you care about spoilers, Chris?
No, I'm cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation between Gallo's character and this other doctor where she basically, um, I mean, kind of like, she's talking and she kind of makes Gallo, I guess, reflect on his past actions, on how he kind of stole this. I'm trying to think of what to call it because they don't really name it anything, but there's this doctor and he has like this crazy theory and he's been pushed away from the medical field, and Gallo's character studied with him and kind of took all of his theories or whatever and his methodology about what he was studying, and he took it and ran. And Gallo's excuse is that he was running out of time and he really needed to find whatever was at the heart of the Leo. The doctor's name is Leo. At the heart of what Leo was looking after. I think that's an interesting idea of him stealing someone else's work and trying to use it to I guess save himself. There's multiple times in the film where Gallo's character, says like I'm sick, like, and then there's a really interesting. I think there's an interesting dynamic between Gallo's character Leo and then Leo's wife. There's kind of like a love triangle thing going on there that kind of gets dropped like halfway through the movie. But like I said, that could be. I might not just have a great reading on the
Is
film.
the stealing of the thing that Gallo stole or
Mm-hmm.
Leo stole? Is that supposed to be part of like the Denis commentary on colonialism and stuff about how like the white man
Yeah, it's a
steal?
white
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
man
could. Yeah.
yeah,
crossing an
yeah,
ocean to take something from a black
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well,
Yeah, I don't
that
know if there's too much to say more else about that one.
okay. Well, I think that's is there anything else that we want to say about Gallo? Just any other little tidbits or tidbits of information?
I mean, unless you want to talk about his repugnant politics, I mean,
Yeah, we can talk about his repugnant politics.
yeah, I mean that's you have to at this point. Like
Yeah,
he is a very outspoken Republican, and he's quite hateful, and he has been for 15 years. You know,
yeah. It's almost, but I mean, like, it's almost like he's doing it. He's doing it with the tisk tisk type. No, no, I'm not rationalizing the horrible things that he says, but I'm just thinking that in his mindset, or at least how I would see what Gallo, or how Gallo at least projects himself, it's done in like the tisk tisk, like trigger the libs, like conservatism is the new punk rock type
mm-hmm.
type of stuff. So which makes it, I think, even worse because it's just reactionary as possible without any basis of like actual principles. Like you just look at those T-shirts and the horrible stuff that he says about slavery and stuff on the T-shirts, and you just say, what the fuck, dude? Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I think you told me that he lives in Trump Tower, right?
yes,
Yeah. So it seems I get what you're saying, but I feel like, I mean, maybe he's just there by circumstance, or maybe he's there to prove a point. But um, I do get where you're coming from with the tisk tisk, but maybe it's fully engulfed his life to where it's he's actively living it instead of it just being
a bit.
yeah.
Oh, well,
But that's me just assuming. Like I don't know. I've never met the guy. I don't think I ever will. But you know,
nah.
knock on wood. I don't even know how that would go. But
Only corresponded with him via email.
yeah,
He's quite a warm email. I'll say that he's quite a
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah. But he also dated George W. Bush's daughter. So
No, I think they just sat at a fashion show together. I must have been mistaken. I
okay.
rewatched his Howard Stern interview, and he said he wanted her. Like he had a crush on her. But
Yeah, so those he's done has he only done one Howard Stern interview?
yeah, he's done a fair amount of video interviews, and some of them are insane.
Yeah.
But he's only been on Howard Stern the once, and I say this as a Stern fanatic.
Well, the one that he did it was a few years after the Brown Bunny, where he's just flipping out about how he can't get a date, is a favorite of mine.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think I sent you one where he was talking about being the inventor of jeans.
Yeah,
What was that
that's
one?
the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
That one's pretty cool.
But yeah, that's really the really big elephant in the room. No pun intended, since he's a Republican. Is that is these politics getting kind of in the way of somebody that just is kind of a very good creative mind? And that's not to say it ruins the movies for me, or I think for any of us, I would think.
No.
But it's just kind of a weird thing that you have to get through.
Plenty of directors have dog shit politics. I mean, like, if people can support David Lynch, you can watch a Vincent Gallo movie.
Yeah.
Vincent Gallo's movies are most easily available by pirating them. So don't twist yourself into a pretzel. Like, do what you need to do, buddy. Not that I'm encouraging piracy. It's not a call to action, but let's live in the realm of reality here.
Yeah. Of course. But yeah, with that, I guess is that all we want to say on politics and Gallo.
I think so. I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I think we got a good one in, boys.
All right, good
Well,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you, Ben, for joining us again.
Yeah,
no problem. Thank you so much.
And Fulton, do you want to announce next week's film? Because it was your pick. Yeah.
So next week we are covering Charlie Chaplin's Limelight, which is one of his, I think, his few talking movies, I want to say, right? I forget what year it came out in. Yeah, but we're super excited. And it
with a lot of
seems
silent stars. Keaton's in it too.
Keaton is in it, and then it also seems to be I think it comes at an interesting point in his career. Just a little thing I kind of wanted to point out why we kind of chose it. Because I'm a pretty big Chaplin fan. I haven't seen a ton of his movies, but from what I've seen, I do really like. It's about, being in the limelight, about not being, at the top anymore. So it's kind of interesting for him to be such a big silent movie star and then to move on to talking films and make from what sounds like a reflective film. So yeah.
Real Sunset Boulevard type vibes, yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's so that's next week's film. Yeah, so hope you guys have a good rest of your week and stay wavy.
All right. Bye.
All right.